April 24th MLB Power Rankings.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Power Rankings. Week 2 is in the books, and we had quite the Sunday nighter. Milwaukee coming up with that 1-0 pitchers duel win. Hope you guys enjoyed the weekend of baseball. Just gonna rip through this bottom to top. Starting with number 30, we got the Cincinnati Reds. Went 0-3 against San Diego, 1-2 against the division rival. Finally breaking that losing streak, winning today. But it was definitely a letdown spot potential for St. Louis. So we still think Cincinnati at the bottom. I think most Reds fans looking forward to Castillo coming back relatively soon. Number 29, Washington, 1-2 against Arizona. Got swept over the weekend by the Giants. It's been a rough season, and I don't see it getting a whole lot better for them. Their pitching rotation's been pretty rough, and they're giving up a lot of runs. Their offense has been okay, and Juan Soto's still looking all right. But other than that, he's pretty much the only bright spot in that lineup. 28, Arizona, 2-1 against Washington, 1-2 against the Mets. At home against the Mets, they stole one, so they gotta be pretty excited about that. This team's starting to get some momentum. Gallen's back, Kelly's done pretty good, Merrill Kelly. So the rotation has a couple solid Potterts, and Bumgarner, you never know what he's gonna throw up. So at least pitching-wise, it's been all right. Picking up a couple wins here and there. Doesn't look like they're as bad as last year with that, 20-game losing streak pretty much. But yeah, 27, we got the Baltimore Orioles, 1-3 against Oakland. They did win the weekend series against the Angels, so we're starting to see some things coming together for the Orioles. But I need to see a little bit more consistency if I'm going to move them up any farther. And losing that series to Oakland, only getting 1 out of the 4 games, really hurt them because I don't have Oakland too much further ahead of them, and honestly, right ahead of them. Number 26, 3-1 against Baltimore. And then they got swept this weekend. 1-2 against Texas. So them and Texas pretty much battling for the bottom. A lot of weak opponents this week, and they only managed to go a little bit above 500, 4-3 on the week. So not too much of a good season ahead for the A's. Number 25, we got the Rangers. They went 2-1 against Oakland, I just said, and they went 1-2 against Seattle. So overall, a 3-3 week for the Rangers. Semien just hasn't stepped up for the contract that he's had so far in their rotation. Not a real big bright apple in that 5, so we kind of expect them to be in this area for the whole season. But they are trending in the right direction, at least with the signings, spending the most in the offseason and all those teams. They're going to be battling with the A's for the bottom, though, as we all know. Number 24, and I don't know the last time they would have been out of the bottom row. We have the Pittsburgh Pirates, got swept by Milwaukee early in the week. But then they had a good series against the Cubs, going 3-1. One of those games did include, 21-0 loss, 22-0 loss to the Cubs. But all the other games they won. I think they're a decent team. Like the pitching, I don't know if it's there, but their offense, Brian Hayes, a couple of other guys in there, Reynolds. I think if you match them up against most of these teams on a given week, they're gonna win more games than they lose. But I still have them bottom of their division. Next up, Kansas City Royals, 2-1 against Minnesota, but they got swept by Seattle over the weekend. And the consistency is another one of those. Witt Jr. just not doing what he needs to do to have a solid part in this lineup, and we could see them cutting it short with him soon. Rotation, no names really stepping out yet, and we have a kind of a tough division in the fact that the 3 bottom teams are all kind of intertwined, and they're going to be battling to see who can take them a step forward. So really, I find this the weakest division now, so it's really up for grabs. It's 23, and if they can go a heater in the division, you could see something good. 22, same division, Detroit Tigers, 1-2 against the Yankees, 1-2 against Colorado. So losing both series over the week. But some steps in the right direction. They do pick up a wins. They didn't get swept in the division, like I was just talking about, weak. So they're kind of on the outskirts of the playoff race. The playoff race kind of starts in the 3rd row. They're on the outskirts, but we're early. So anything can happen. 21, we got the Chicago Cubs. Losing both series. They lost to Tampa 1-2. They won the first game against Tampa, then they lost the next 2. And Pittsburgh kind of embarrassed them, except for that one game where they just went off. Hendricks seems to be the only pitcher that is any consistency on this team. Suzuki's been a monster for this team, but the offense just hot and cold. They're very hot and cold. Hard to put my finger on this team right now, but I do figure on most days they're ahead of the teams below them, obviously. Number 20, making their debut, we got the Cleveland Guardians, 3-0 against the White Sox before getting swept by the Yankees over the weekend. It's just been a weird team. First week, I came into the season, I expected them to not have offense. They had one of the best offenses in the league. Their pitching was a little bit off, and they just couldn't get it going. But like now, their pitching's been great, and their offense has not shown up. It's just been a weird team for the Guardians. But the fact that they're as high as they are right now is a little bit surprising. They signed Ramirez to that long, huge extension, so I think they're showing that they want to compete in this division, and they very well could be. We've got the 3 teams in the bottom here, but we won't go too much farther before we see the next 2. So this division could potentially be wide open for a team to take away this year. 19. We got the LA Angels. They went 2-1 against Houston before losing to Baltimore. Say this like every video about this team, and they just don't fill up to their expectations, and they're not winning the games they need to. They lost a series to Baltimore. Again, Baltimore's down here, and then they beat a team that's going to be up here. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but for the most part, they're playing like they always have, and they're going to, at this rate, end 500 baseball, which is not going to be good enough for playoffs. Number 18, we got the Minnesota Twins, 1-2 against Kansas City, before they swept the White Sox over the weekend, including Byron Buxton today. 2 home runs just carried their team after they were being down. He had 2 home runs to win that one. Twins are they're just another one of those hot and cold teams. Pitching, inconsistent. Bats, completely inconsistent. Sano just out to lunch right now. So the Twins they're in it. Again, same story. Division up for grabs. It's interesting. 17, probably one of the biggest early surprises. 2-1 against Philly. 2-1 against Detroit. The Rockies haven't lost a series yet all season, and that includes a series against the Dodgers and a 2-0 series against the Tigers, or a 2-game series. So they haven't lost. They've won 2 at least in every series. And if it wasn't for their division with the stacked powerhouses, I might have them a little higher. But at the end of the day, we suspect them to be 4th in this division, so that's well out of a playoff spot because the playoffs start kind of happening around 12, right? Because we have 12 teams make the playoffs. These are probably in the race. They're in the race, and that's all you can really ask for the Rockies right now. Number 16, we got the Boston Red Sox. Not a good week for them. 1-2 against Toronto, 1-2 against Tampa. So 2 division rivals. They lose both series, and I know I watched a lot of the Toronto series. They should have had a chance at that one. A lot better. They left a lot of guys on base, a lot of opportunities. Toronto just managed to squeeze that one out after losing the first game. So 16, right now they're on the outside looking in on a playoff race. If the playoffs were to start today, we know 2 weeks in, but Boston has some concerns, especially around their pitching right now. Their offense most days can show up, but their pitching has not kept them in the games. 15, the Miami Marlins, a little bit of a sneaky one. 1-2 against the Cards, 2-1 against the 2-1 against the Cardinals, 1-2 against the Braves. And it's just a 3-3 week, but they're competing with teams that are ahead of them. And right now, those teams might come in taking them lightly, I don't know, but their pitching has been strong. And their bats have showed up enough to get them some close game wins. So the Marlins got to be happy with where they are right now. Again, this another one of the weaker divisions in the National League. They could surprise some teams. We could see the Marlins playing for the playoffs for sure. With this rotation, pretty good team. Number 14, the other team from Florida, we got Tampa Bay. 1-2 against the Cubs, 1-2 against Boston. Good week. Not a lot of movement because playing a Cubs team that we expect them to win, even though they're on the road, they come back good fashion. They win. I want to see Tampa play against one of these top powerhouses before I really give them the respect that I know a lot of you guys think I should be giving them, but I need to see it myself. Right now, division, I've got them number 3, ahead of Boston after this past weekend, but could have went the other way. If they had not won, we could have saw a flip-flop here. 13, we got the Philadelphia Phillies losing week 1-2 against Colorado, 1-2 against Milwaukee. Probably can interchange pretty much this whole row. It's so close right now. We're still 2 weeks in. But Philly, they're kind of the same story as the Angels. They're not meeting the expectations we expect from them with their lineup. But Wheeler had a decent outing this time around. He'll probably find his groove, and that will really help Philly, I think, with their lineup and their pitching rotation. We'll see them have a little bit of edge on these teams behind them. Number 12, and it's a pretty big drop. We got the Chicago White Sox, now lost 7 in a row. They got swept by Cleveland this week. They got swept by the Twins. Both teams lower than them. Still think they're lower. They're dropping in the power rankings. They're injuries, and they're just blowing games. The bullpen's been a little bit rough early on in the season. I still consider them the best team in that division, although it's starting to shrink a little bit as these teams are pretty close together, right? Another bad or a week like that, and we're seeing the White Sox a whole different light. I think it should be one of the biggest shocks of the season so far if they fall out of this top 2 rows. Number 11, just can't discount them anymore. 2-1 against Texas, 3-0 against Kansas City. They're just quiet. They're a quiet team here on the West Coast. Not a lot of people are going to be talking about the Mariners. They have no one in their lineup that just makes you go, wow, we need to talk about them. But Robbie Ray added that rotation. Already a pretty solid rotation last year, at least consistent. And their bats are doing well. Ty France having a good season so far. 11, probably could see them hop up a little bit with another solid week and another further week from Houston. Number 10, I heard you guys last week and didn't really like it. 1-3 against the Mets, but then they swept the Nationals. And I said it coming into this week, they really, if you guys were saying top 5, I still don't think they are. The Mets kind of exposed some of the weaknesses there. Of course, the Mets are a top team, top pitching, et cetera. But I think the Giants just are missing that little offensive piece. And their pitching, you guys called me, I'm sure that they have the pitching, but the offensive piece does worry me when they play the top teams like the Mets, who can shut them down offensively. They're going to be missing Buster Posey this year, and the back catcher. It's not easy to replace someone like him, and you're probably going to start seeing it even on the defensive side of the ball. So keep it out. 10 still a playoff spot, guys. To think they're going to win the division and be a top 5 team, I think is a little unrealistic. We can keep checking in on this throughout the year. Number 9, San Diego 3-0 against Cincinnati, 1-2 against the Dodgers, and the Dodgers really hammered them today. But the Padres, they're, I think, living up to kind of what we expected last year. At least this is how they were at the beginning of last year before they fell off. But if they can keep it long term, waiting for Tatis to come back and all that, I think they're going to be right there in the mix. This is a stacked division, definitely with the way Colorado has been going. Number 8, probably one of the losing records, 1-2 against the Dodgers, 1-2 against Miami. 2 losing series again. I'm giving them a little bit of leeway. Ex-World Series champs might take a little bit of time to get going. They obviously lost Freeman, bringing in Olsen instead. Take some time to get all this team together. We're seeing Max Fried have some of the most electric stuff he's had all season this week, and we're seeing other people like Wright be the starter that they want. Some of their other starters have been inconsistent, but if they can get on a little bit of a run here, which very much capable of with the offense they have and the pitching rotation they have, still think they're the favorite to win this division, which would technically make them a top 6, top 8 team. And that's where I see the Braves right now. Number 7, we got the St. Louis Cardinals, 2-1 against Miami, 2-1 against Cincinnati. Not a tough week, but they won both series, and they got to be pretty happy with the way the season started. They've been right there tight with Milwaukee. That first series between the 2 of those teams is going to be huge, and they have a lot of room to go, but their offense has been great. Pitching, again, talked about it last video. They didn't address it now season. Could be their downfall, but right now it's at least held up for some W's. Number 6, we got the New York Yankees, 2-1 against Detroit, 3-0 against Cleveland, taking care of business against teams below them that they need to take care of. Not much else to say. This team has been right where they should be, playing well, solid team, solid rotation, picking up the dubs. So yeah, just a little bit of pain last week when they lost the Orioles over the weekend. Number 5, we got the Houston Astros, 1-2 against the Angels, 1-2 against the Jays. But that series with the Jays, if you guys watched any of it, it was back and forth, super close. 2 of the top 2 teams in the American League going into last week power rankings. So give them a lot of credit. They still have that solid team, and I still have them at the top of that division. And it's kind of the way they've been. They've always been somewhat of a slow starter. and really pile it on when it matters. They have the depth. We'll see. The rotation's been pretty good for them so far too. But they have some tests coming up for sure, and whether they can stay in that top row, we'll see. Number 4, Milwaukee Brewers, 3-0 against the Pirates, 2-1 against the Phillies. Good week for them. Rotation's back. The offense maybe still struggles a little bit with the way the rotation is winning today. For example, 1-0. You don't need a lot of runs. So top of that division for sure at this point. And a team that really on any given series, 3-game series, they're going to have the advantage because of their pitching, for sure. Number 3, moving on up. I can't believe this. 2-1 against Boston, 2-1 against Houston. The Jays have yet to lose a series this year as well. They tied the one with the Yankees 2-2, but they have yet to lose. And honestly, they had a lot of expectations coming this season, so there was a lot of pressure. Vegas had them favored in the American League, et cetera, et cetera. So far, they've performed. They really haven't had that easy of a schedule other than starting the season with Texas, which they won, and they took care of that. But that's the first series, and since then, they've had a pretty tough schedule. The Yankees already, Boston, Houston, top teams in the American League, and they haven't lost a series. So the Jays fans, like myself, have got to be pumped, and I am. Number 2, New York Mets might be the highest I've ever had them on this channel. 3-1 San Francisco, 2-1 against Arizona. It makes sense that they lost one Arizona to have such a huge series against the Giants, a team that was really big last year and really shut the Mets out last year. And then going on the road to Arizona and still winning that series. It's okay to drop one. This team is for real. Their bats are attacking when they have runners in scoring positions, 2 outs. They're doing things they didn't do last year. And of course, with Scherzer added in that mix, the team is on fire. Number 1, third week in a row, we got the Dodgers. 2-1 Atlanta, 2-1 San Diego. What can you say? Dodgers are going to Dodger. Pretty much a slogan at this channel, at this point. What can you say? Best team in baseball, and they're showing it, and they're winning. I think they've lost one series this year. It's to Colorado. But it's division. Division games are close. There you guys have it. Power rankings, April 24th, something like that. Let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join our community. We run a Discord community, and we love to see some new faces in there talking baseball all week long. And guys, till that next video, peace out.